Hello, this is your wise-ass astrologer, and we are having a discussion, meaning you and I, us, the much wiser astrological half of the world's ass. Yes we are, yes we are. Now sure, this does imply that there's an ignorant ass that makes up the other half of the world, but we are able to navigate ourselves around that half with feeling and instinct. Feeling and instinct. Jupiter in the sign of Cancer gives us an emotional intelligence that leads us to wisdom and spirituality. So one of the alignments we will be discussing is Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, making a 120-degree trine to both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, which Jupiter is also ruling over since Pisces is ruled by the planet Jupiter. Oh, come on, wise ass, that sounds easy enough. We don't need too much emotional intelligence to understand that. Yes, because trines are easy, lad. It's flowing quite easily from wittery Jupiter in Cancer to wittery Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. But don't get too emotional, dear boy, if you don't plan on putting those emotions to some good use. What's with the condescension? Oh, yes, well, Jupiter in Cancer can be emotionally condescending. We feel like we know more sometimes. And the other alignment we will be discussing is the aforementioned planetary conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Pisces, as this conjunction of Saturn and Neptune has now moved back from the sign of Aries back into Pisces. This conjunction will enter Aries again on February 13th, but for now it's in Pisces. On February 13th, right before Valentine's Day? What the fuck does that mean? Yo, tough guy, maybe if you give the illusion that you're sensitive once in a while, you'll have a date on Valentine's Day, instead of jerking off in the cheap chocolates. Okay, so Neptune and Saturn are image and reality. Neptune being image and Saturn being reality. Neptune is illusions and Saturn is toughness. When these planets are brought together in conjunction, we can give the illusion of being tough, which can be good sometimes, but we don't want that to be all an illusion. We've still got to work through things. Tough it out, baby. Come on. We're building something real. We are building something real, but the image of how we're building that looks very different in Aries than Pisces. We absorb the groundwork in Pisces before we relaunch our project in Aries, going into it head first. Because Aries is the head, specifically the upper skull, and Pisces is the feet. When Saturn goes back into Aries on February 13th, our head will look up at our goals, and our brains will see, hear, and smell the vision we are building. But with Saturn now in Pisces, our feet need support. Real support, not just the illusion of support, which can be an issue with Neptune conjunct Saturn. Aries wants to charge ahead, but Pisces has to accept some things first. So let's accept that we can be head cases sometimes. That's okay, you know. We still have to build a case for ourselves, and right now we are building that case back up, starting from the ground and building it up. Now while Saturn and Neptune in Aries is like, it's fucking mental, yeah? Doing your head in, like a scouser on a bloody manic Monday. Fucking hell, wish it was Sunday again, playing football with all my mates. Yeah, but can you accept the responsibility of playing goalie for a team that plays no defense? You're the last line of defense, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. You can't be running ahead off sides like a cherry-picking wanker who just wants to do headers all day long. You can't be bouncing a ball off your head and towards the goal before you fully absorb the grass under your feet that lifts you up. And for you soccer moms out there, tell your kids that sometimes they have to play goalie for a shitty team that plays no defense and accept that role. And if the other team scores on your kid, they will all blame your kid for letting the goal in. Even though you and I both know it was because your kid's teammates didn't play defense. And you have to accept that bullshit sometimes. Sure, but there is a limit to what you should accept. And for those mothers whose kids play forward, tell them they can't run out ahead and cherry pick and try to score without playing defense. Go on now, tell them. Tell your kids. Why don't you go on, wise ass? I will go on. So like I said, we are building a vision, but we can't get out ahead of ourselves just yet. We can give off the image of someone who is restless. Restless, 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 and looking for a reset. We can give off the image that we are in charge and ready to charge ahead like an eagle-eye architect, rebuilding our own vision all the way up to the stars that shine above us. We have to accept the fact that some of the foundations that people are asking us to build our vision on, some of these foundations are fucking bullshit. You might want to build your new city, but you don't want to build your new city hall on quicksand. And there are some surfaces that we have to tread carefully on. As eager as we are to get on our way with a new project, our feet have to tread sensitively on certain grounds that have layers of restrictions. Okay, so let me give you a hypothetical. Like, say you want to build a 250-floor, state-of-the-art McDonald's. Sounds reasonable enough, right? Have a go at it, mate. But say you want to build your 250-floor McDonald's on the sacred spiritual grounds in Jerusalem. Now some know these spiritual grounds as Har HaBayit, or the Temple Mount. Other people know them as Al-Aqsa, or Haram al-Sharif. But with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, know this. Know that your vision of Temple McDonald's there would cause a lot of fucking problems with a lot of different people. That is a reality you have to accept. Yeah, but I'm an entrepreneur. I make things happen. Yeah, but dressing up as Ronald McDonald and interrupting people's prayer sessions by getting in their face and handing them Big Mac coupons? That's not being a proactive businessman. That's being an insensitive asshole. So if you don't accept that and want to forge ahead and build your new Temple McDonald's there on a holy site, just because you can, it's going to start a bloody war real fast. A war that might not end just by giving a free Happy Meal to everyone. This doesn't mean that we should give up and let go of our visions and goals in life. So yes, when Saturn and Neptune go back into Aries in February, our heads will tilt back and look up at our own swirling vision it wants to establish and be enthralled and say, "It's psychedelic, man." Everything's psychedelic, man. It's psychedelic wool, man, too, if that's what you want to color it. Yes, it's your own vision that you set for yourself, that you color for yourself. But first you have to ask yourself, can you realistically swim in your own psychedelic vision, or do you have to accept that you have to scale back a bit in order to make your dreams and fantasies a reality? Now some of you are asking, well, what if we got a psychedelic vision of Jesus? Wasn't Jesus psychedelic? Is he supposed to save our ass from tough situations with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces? Or is the image of him as a martyr for our salvation just an illusion? I don't know much about that because I am not Jesus. At least nobody told me I was Jesus. You can ask him that. I am the wise-ass astrologer. Maybe there are some lost ancient scriptures that refer to a particularly wise-ass astrologer. If you find them, let me know. But okay, say Jesus is your guy. You rock with Jesus, you fuck with Jesus, you roll with Jesus. Jesus is your homeboy. And you want to give him a bright new rebrand by building a Hard Rock Cafe at Jesus' birthplace in Nazareth, because that's your Aries, Saturn, and Neptune goal. To build a towering shrine to Jesus' punk rock sound. But how about just getting him a solid rock for him to step up and preach on? And maybe some supportive shoes. That's what Saturn and Neptune in Pisces is saying the answer is. Yeah, they have Corcovado in Rio de Janeiro, the huge Christ the Redeemer statue, where Jesus stands on a huge fucking rock and everyone in the whole city can look up to him. But what I'm saying to you, my wise friends, is that if you have supportive shoes, tread the earth's surface in a spiritual way, and walk the spiritual walk, people will look up to you and respect you, and they will be eager and focused on listening to what you have to say. It's rock and roll, man. But before you build a temple to your rock and roll messiah, get your guy or girl a rock to preach on. When Saturn and Neptune transition back to Aries in February, does this mean I have to do a video about the realities of war? The sounds and images around the world that engage us through our iPhone's news app? Why get out ahead of myself? Saturn and Neptune are still in Pisces. So I'm not here right now to win your respect, to fight for your respect. I don't have to be on top of things just to give the impression I'm important. I'll accept your respect whenever or wherever I can get it, but I'm not going to beg for your respect. Fucking hell, Jupiter in Cancer is so fucking moody about what direction it wants to take things? Okay, so it might be moody, but it means we have to save our respect for someone who cares. Save our respect for a rainy day. Save our respect for a rainy day? It sounds very esoteric. You and your cloudy ramblings, wise ass. Enough with the Neptunian bullshit. What the fuck does that mean? Save our respect for a rainy day. With the Jupiter in Cancer trine to Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, save your efforts for someone that cares about where you want to go, and will nurture you on a rainy day when there's nothing else doing. Don't be a martyr and feel like you have to respect everyone, people that don't even care about you and your well-being. Save your respect for people that want to nurture you on a day-to-day basis. The lunar energy is always day-to-day, and in the end, we salvage what's important, what we care about moving forward with. With Saturn and Neptune in Aries, you might have a vision of purple rain. You might have a vision of loosening the sky with fucking diamonds. But the reality is, our feet are fucking wet. Isn't that enough? In the desert, you just need to step into an oasis to be thankful to be alive, to accept that you're living the dream of every supersonic castaway in the Champagne supernova. Even if you live under a waterfall, it still means there's a rock under your feet. Your brothers Liam and Noel accepted it. They're not fighting anymore. They accepted the master plan was for them to get back together again. Well done, lads. So like I said, Neptune with Saturn is illusions and toughness, image and reality. Diamonds are as mesmerizing and enchanting as they are rock solid. Saturn in Neptune in Aries projects the image of a hard-headed, self-determined goddess. But does she have diamonds on the soles of her shoes? asked my man Ryman Simon. So listen, goddess, hard-headed, self-determined goddess. We all might want to be Lucy in the sky with diamonds. We all might want to be an Amazon in the sky with diamonds. And yeah, you can make that happen. You're going to make that fucking happen. But before you do that, accept this fact. You can't buy your spirituality on Amazon. You can buy crystals on Amazon. You can buy diamonds on Amazon. But the earth crystallizing under our feet, the crystals that do the do-run-run all over the earth's surface, are the diamonds under the soles of our shoes that support us. So as we open up our Beatles prayer book, the prayer book that says Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band on the cover, we flip to track 3 under the heading Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and we read aloud, "Picture yourself in a boat on a river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies." That dream sounds very orange looking, just like Donald Trump. Every association is so political these days. Jesus fucking Christ. Hey man, dining in the sky with diamonds is not a dream I will accept. All right, dude, calm down. Jupiter in Cancer, ruling and trining Saturn in Pisces, means the world's bosom, Mother Earth's moody breast, hang down free and braless, offering to nurture us towards new directions that we have to accept sometimes because they are practical. But only accept these new directions if they are practical and give you support. So back to what we were talking about. Are Donald Trump's nipples tangerine trees that you have to suck marmalade jelly out of every night just to survive? Is that kind of nurturing practical and supportive for you personally? If it is, you accept it. If not, you don't. Accept whatever's practical for you, whatever your jam is, whatever gets you through the night. That's how you roll, Jelly Bean. With Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, I have to accept that a lot more people have fantasized about Donald Trump than they have fantasized about me. And that's the reality right now. Jupiter in Cancer is all about feeling ideas, specifically your breast and stomach feeling ideas. People weren't feeling the idea that my breast could spiritually feed a nation. I know you say to me, "Oh, but wise ass, you don't have any planets in the sign of Cancer in your natal chart. In fact, your ascendant is in Capricorn, the opposite sign. The world isn't looking to suck your tits, wise ass." But Donald Trump, on the other hand, Trump has his Saturn, Mercury, and Venus in Cancer. And well, many people are drooling and salivating for that man's nipples. You should just accept that. Okay, fine. But I'm a bit moody. How do you feel that makes me feel, having to accept the reality that no one voted for me in the last election? But whatever reality you have to accept at the moment, that's okay, as long as you feel you're moving towards something. If your stomach feels free and your breasts are unencumbered, then go explore your spirituality. That's how the moon drives Jupiter in Cancer. So let's explore how the different moon signs are driving Jupiter right now. Moon in Aries. Sexuality can have our faces feeling flushed with an inspired glow. For some people, it's because they are taking poppers. But do you feel that journey is spiritually sound? Well, then what journey do you feel is spiritually sound? Go head first in your feelings and reawaken your emotions. Your tears are there to guide you. You lay forth your own riverbed to swim in. When you tune your ears to the sound of the waterfall, you will swim in the right direction on your journey. Moon in Taurus, lock into a mood and stay there until you're sufficiently nurtured. It will allow you to get the wisdom and direction you need. So I saw this chick, Mona Lisa, at the Louvre Museum in Paris. She's over 500 years older than me, so yeah, it's a mothering relationship. But not because she's over 500 years older than me. She's a lot of Cancer planets overlaying my 7th house. So I think she was helping me learn through a nurturing partner. And she has her moon in Taurus. She has her moon in Taurus. I have my moon in Taurus. And even though the museum workers wanted me to move along, I calmly stood there looking at the Mona Lisa lady. I was not emotionally ready to move on, not ready to move forward until I felt sufficiently nurtured. So Mona Lisa is a groovy chick, but then when the moon moves into Gemini, we realize that there are a lot of groovy chicks in the museum to connect with emotionally. Though it's not like you just grow people's breasts randomly and expect to connect emotionally, like the painting directly behind the Mona Lisa, The Allegory of Marriage by Titian. Titian is spelled T-I-T-I-A-N, of course. In that painting, there's a dude groping at a woman's breast, and she looks really annoyed by it. She's like, "Oh please, you're still stuck on that Mona Lisa bitch. Her Taurus moon is hugging all the museum's emotional energy. Don't randomly grope my breast and expect me to be feeling it if you're not trying to connect with me, connect with what I'm feeling. But if you are connecting with a feeling, then yeah, this is going somewhere. This is going places. You want people to feel that you're touching them because you care. What starts as a superficial touch turns into something that moves you into a place that will ground you spiritually. Look, this moon in Gemini is really a timely salvation when you want to move forward in life. It's like someone who's there at the right place at the right time to be a caring angel. But there are a lot of different arrangements out there to emotionally tap into and absorb. Moon in Cancer, nurture with your ideas. Our ideas flow forth when we are emotional. But are we going to follow through with these ideas? So I, your wise ass astrologer, am going to walk around free and without a bra. If, and only if, I feel comfortable with that idea. Moon in Leo, feel proud of those ideas. Be proud that your breasts have ideas of their own about where they want to go. There's some theater in that. There's some theatrics in that. Now, when the moon goes into Virgo and opposes Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, we have to be aware of our feelings, but also try not to get too anxious and hung up about our feelings. Sure, we have to deal with our feelings somehow, but then we have to go on that emotional journey to accept what we are building. There's awareness of our diet and nutrition, yes, but we are also aware that sometimes our stomachs need to relax. Gastric nurturing, even if it's not nutritionally perfect, allows us to unwind, and it spiritually grounds us into the rhythms the Earth's moods are built on. If you are looking at your midsection and becoming emotional about it, then look at your nipples and be aware that these feelings are part of your emotional journey of having to accept who you are on a spiritual level, because the spiritual foundation you've been nurturing is not something that can be judged or picked apart. Feeling the gravity of our breast keeps our feet grounded here on Earth. Did I just say that? Some meditation instructor I would make. But basically, even if you are feeling fat as your breasts are drooping down to your belly, let them free and accept your spiritual toughness. Moon in Libra. Yeah, balancing out that emotional journey. Right, my fair and caring kings and queens? So if you are bipolar, well, laughing and crying are two sides of the same coin. Or same nipple, really. And then one nipple can be smiling and one nipple can be crying. And you have to accept that sometimes, because that's what keeps you grounded in life, that emotional balance. We can also understand the balance our stomach needs. Drinking water and eating protein will expand the stomach, but there has to be balance. With the moon in Scorpio, sexual intensity and caring and accepting this emotional waterfall can be a lot. Don't be lazy with the emotional overflow. Get it under control and put it to good use. The mutual reception of the moon in Sagittarius and Jupiter in Cancer and wondering what our feelings are all about. Give your advice and opinion because you care, but do you really care? Or are you just moody? Make sure you genuinely care before you start giving opinions during the Sagittarius moon transit. And what else with this Sagittarius moon? Oh, right. And we are all Charlie's angels in the eyes of God, running around the earth braless as our hips move forward and our breasts bounce free. Hey, Jupiter's transiting my 7th house, so it's an out-of-body experience. Okay, so now for the signs ruled by Saturn in Pisces. There will be some real challenges with the moon in Capricorn, but we do accept we need a foundation. We do accept we are to be taken seriously. Sure, we care, but our opinions and ideas are not of someone who's just overly emotional and trying to swim upstream in a messy oil spill of feelings. With the moon moving into Aquarius, we accept structure and organization to our feelings. And then when the moon goes into Pisces and enters into a mutual reception with Jupiter in Cancer, we really need Saturn in Pisces to keep us grounded. Sure, topless swimming is a great idea during this time, but the orgy in the swimming pool of life always needs a saint at the bottom to save us when it becomes too much sometimes. It's all too much. So the obvious question is, in the orgy that was the Beatles, who was the saint when it became too much, you know? Well, George, I guess. And George had his natal Jupiter in Cancer and his natal Venus at 29 degrees Pisces, near where Neptune and Saturn are right now. In his Beatles song, It's All Too Much, he talked about how it's all too much for him to take, the love that's shining all around. But not to worry, Georgie. With Saturn and Neptune at the end of Pisces, there's always a last line of support to tap into. Even when the world seems overwhelmed by confusion, our spirituality will keep us grounded. So peace, love, stars, and listen to the Beatles. And listen to me tap into my spiritual support on my piano.